All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today we're going to dig into a piece of advice we've all gotten. And, it might just be the most complicated advice out there.
Yep, there it is. Just be yourself. We've all heard it a million times, right? And it sounds so simple, so freeing. But let's be real for a second. What does that actually mean? I mean, are you the same you in a high-stakes job interview as you are when you're just hanging out with your best friends? Or on a first date? Probably not. But here's a thought. What if that advice isn't just tricky? What if it's actually kind of dangerous? Our sources suggest that this idea of being totally 100% unfiltered all the time, that is a huge privilege. For a lot of folks, following that advice isn't just hard, it can actually backfire. Big time. Okay, so this brings us right to the heart of the matter, what we're calling the be yourself paradox. It's that constant push and pull, right? That tension between who you feel you are deep down and who the world kind of expects you to be. And this idea right here, this really changes the game. Life isn't just some open mic night for your personality. It's way more like a constant negotiation, a dance between the person we want to be and the person others need to see. So instead of thinking about just being, let's reframe it. Let's think about life as a performance. Now, this idea is definitely not new. In fact, we got to go back a few decades to a sociologist named Irving Goffman. He came up with this brilliant metaphor that totally clicks, even today, that all the world's a stage and all of us, we're basically actors. He gave it a pretty fancy name, dramaturgical analysis. But all it really means is that our social lives are like a play. He argued that when we're out in the world, people are rarely seeing the real us. Nope, they're seeing a character we've created, a performance we've carefully put together. And a huge part of this acting is something he called impression management. And you do it all the time. It's all the little things we do, often without even realizing it, to shape how people see us. It's the outfit you pick for that interview, the tone of voice you use with your boss, the jokes you tell. It's all part of managing the impression you make. Goffman broke our world down into two main areas, just like a theater. First, you've got the front stage. That's anywhere you're on, at work, at a party, anywhere you have an audience. But then there's the backstage. That's your sanctuary. That's home, or with your most trusted friends. It's where you go to take off the costume, wipe off the makeup, and just be. It's where you can finally drop the act and recharge. Okay, so this is where Goffman's old idea gets super relevant to a conversation that's happening right now. Let's talk about the intense pressure to perform, or what's often called masking, and the very real, very high cost that comes with it. For so many people, especially for neurodivergent individuals, this performance isn't just about putting on a professional face for work. It's a full-time job. It's a survival strategy that is running 24/7. And just listen to this quote. It's miserable and exhausting. That constant effort to perform what society deems normal is just completely draining. It's a direct path to burnout. So why do people feel this intense pressure to put on a mask? Well, a lot of the time it comes down to a really deep-seated fear of rejection. And let's be clear, this is not some irrational thing. It's a fear built on years, sometimes a whole lifetime of being told you're too loud or too quiet or too weird. Basically, just too much for being yourself. The author Devin Price makes such a powerful point about this. What often gets labeled rejection sensitivity isn't some personal failing or a disorder. It's actually a totally rational response to a world that isn't always kind to people who are different. It's a mix of anxiety, trauma, and being on high alert. Really, it's a defense mechanism you build up when you've been burned before. So, this all leads to a massive question, doesn't it? If we're all performing, always managing impressions, then what even is a true self? Is there some authentic, real you just hanging out backstage waiting for their cue?
Well, psychologists have this really helpful concept called self-congruence. The idea here isn't that you have one single, static, unfiltered self. Instead, true authenticity comes from achieving a state where your actions, your front stage, are in sync with your deepest values and beliefs, your backstage.
And when you can actually do that, wow, the payoff is huge. Studies show that when you live in a way that's true to your core values, you feel less anxious, your self-esteem goes up, you're just more satisfied with your life. It's that alignment, that beautiful sync up between your inner compass and your outer actions that really feels like authenticity. So here's the crucial thing. Finding that true self isn't some passive, magical moment of discovery. It's work. It's an active process. You actually have to sit down and figure out what your non-negotiables are. What are those 3 to 5 guiding principles? Maybe it's integrity, kindness, freedom, that are going to be the bedrock for everything you do.
So, let's get practical. How do you actually do this? Look, the goal isn't to just stop performing. According to Golfman, that's pretty much impossible in a social world. The real goal is to stop being just an actor reading someone else's lines and to become the director of your own show.
And one of the most powerful tools in your director's toolkit? Setting boundaries. Now, a boundary isn't about telling other people what to do. It's all about deciding what you will do. It's saying, I will walk away from this conversation, or I'm not going to answer that question. It's about protecting your energy. It's you taking control of the scene.
And that brings us right back around to the main point. True authenticity. It isn't about just blurting out whatever is on your mind. It's the much harder but way more meaningful work of choosing roles and performances that actually reflect your core, backstage self. And when you do that, the performance stops feeling like a draining mask, and it starts feeling like a genuine expression of you. So, I'll leave you with this final thought. Acknowledging that life is a performance doesn't have to be a downer. In fact, it might be the opposite. It's actually incredibly empowering because it hands you the pen and asks the most important question of all. Are you going to let someone else direct your story, or are you going to write the script yourself?